My girlfriend left me because I was poor, but she found lovers. But she came back with words of true love because everyone dumped her. My ex-girlfriend and I started dating in high school. I was 16, she was 15. We met in history class and got together after I asked her to a school dance. We dated steadily from there. She cared about our relationship back then, not money. We'd walk home together and talk about the future. I didn't have a job or a car, just a bus pass. She said she liked me because I was real. That was enough for her at the time. We were happy. After high school, we stayed together. I got a job at a warehouse, lifting boxes for minimum wage, while she worked part-time at a coffee shop. We were both 19, trying to figure out life. At first, she didn't mind that I wasn't rolling in cash. We'd split cheap takeout and watch movies on my old laptop. But then she started hanging out with new friends from her job. These girls had boyfriends who drove nice cars and took them to fancy dinners. She'd come home and talk about how one guy bought his girlfriend a necklace or how another took his girl on a weekend trip. It wasn't just casual talk, she'd linger on it. She started asking me what I was doing with my life, why I wasn't trying harder to get a better job. I told her I was saving up, that I'd get there eventually, but she didn't want to hear it. She'd scroll through her phone, showing me pictures of her friends' boyfriends and their stuff, new shoes, watches, whatever. I noticed she stopped talking about us and started focusing on what I didn't have. It wasn't like I was sitting around doing nothing. I was working long shifts, coming home tired, but it wasn't enough for her anymore. She'd get quiet when I couldn't take her out somewhere nice. I could tell she was comparing me to those guys, and it stung. She didn't say it outright at first, but I knew she was jealous. The girl who once said she didn't need anything but me was slipping away, and I didn't know how to stop it. By the time we hit our early 20s, things got worse. I was still at the warehouse, picking up extra shifts when I could. She'd moved up to full-time at the coffee shop, but she hated it. She'd come home complaining about the customers, the pay, everything. Then she'd switch to talking about her friends again. One of them got engaged to a guy who owned a small business. Another started dating some dude who worked in tech and had an apartment downtown. She'd go on about how they didn't have to worry about rent or splitting bills. I'd listen, nodding, but inside I was getting frustrated. She started pointing out what I wasn't doing. She'd say stuff like how I should have gone to college or learned a trade, even though she knew I couldn't afford it back then. I told her I was trying, that I'd been applying to better jobs, but she'd just roll her eyes. One night, she came back from a party with her friends and wouldn't stop talking about how one of their boyfriends surprised his girl with a car. She looked at me like I was supposed to have an answer for why I couldn't do that. I said I didn't like how she kept comparing me to them. She got mad, said I was being insecure, and stormed off to bed. After that, she started getting distant. She'd spend more time with those friends, coming home later, texting me less. I could feel her pulling away, and it wasn't about feelings anymore, it was about money. She didn't care about what we had, she wanted what they had. We were 23 when things got worse. I'd gotten a small raise at the warehouse, but it wasn't enough for her. She was still at the coffee shop and hated it. She'd come home and talk about her friends' boyfriends who had money. She'd show me their posts, vacations, new clothes, and say she was tired of struggling. I told her I didn't like how she compared me to them. She got mad, said I didn't understand. She started staying out late with her friends, not telling me where she was. I saw her liking posts from random guys with nice cars and watches. One day, she came home with a new purse, said it was from a friend. I didn't believe her. She stopped talking to me about anything real after that. She'd just look at me like I wasn't enough. It wasn't about us anymore. It was about money. We were still together at 24, but it was hanging by a thread. I was working extra hours at the warehouse, trying to save up for something better. She was still at the coffee shop, but she'd started dressing up more, wearing stuff I knew she couldn't afford on her pay. She'd come home and talk about her friends' boyfriends nonstop, how one bought a house, how another took his girl to some island. She'd scroll through their posts while we sat on the couch, pointing out every detail like it was my fault I couldn't keep up. I told her I was trying, that I'd applied for a supervisor job, but she didn't care. She'd just say I wasn't moving fast enough. One night she came home late, smelling like perfume I didn't recognize. I asked where she'd been, and she brushed me off, saying she was with her friends. The next day, she sat me down and laid it out. She said she couldn't do this anymore, living paycheck to paycheck, watching everyone else get ahead. She told me she needed me to start earning more, that she wasn't going to stick around if I couldn't give her the life she wanted. It wasn't a discussion, it was an ultimatum. She said she'd leave if I didn't step up soon. I sat there, staring at her, thinking about how we used to be. Back in school, she didn't care about any of this. Now, it was all she could see. I told her I didn't like being judged for what I didn't have instead of what I was trying to build. She got furious, said I was selfish for not thinking about her needs. I couldn't believe it, she'd flipped it on me like I was the problem. That night, I thought about everything. How she changed, how she looked at me like I was nothing compared to those other guys. I realized she didn't love me anymore, she loved what I might have been able to give her. The next morning, I packed a bag. I didn't have much, just clothes and my work boots. She was still asleep when I left. I didn't write a note or say goodbye, I just walked out. I crashed at a buddy's place, figuring I'd sort it out later. Part of me thought she'd call, maybe apologize, but she didn't. I heard through a mutual friend she was already out with some new guy a few days later. I wasn't surprised. She'd made it clear what she was after, and I couldn't give it to her. I felt stupid for thinking we could have lasted, but I also felt free. She'd shown me who she really was, and I wasn't going to beg her to stay. I was done after I left. I stayed at my buddy's place for a while. I kept working at the warehouse, picking up shifts to save money. I didn't hear from her for weeks. Then a friend told me she'd started dating someone new. Some guy with a decent car and a job at a bank. I wasn't shocked, she'd been chasing that kind of life for a while. I heard they went out a few times, but it didn't last. The guy dumped her after a week. I didn't ask for details. I didn't care. A month later, another friend said she was with a different guy. This one owned a small store. She'd been posting pictures with him online, showing off his place and his stuff. That lasted maybe 2 weeks before he ended it too. Word got around she was jumping from guy to guy, always someone with money or something to flash. Each time, it fell apart fast. First week, second week, never longer. I'd see her name pop up on my phone when mutual friends talked about her, but I didn't reach out. She was doing exactly what I figured she would, hunting for the life she thought she deserved. I kept my head down, focused on work. I got that supervisor job I'd applied for, started making a bit more. It wasn't a fortune, but it was progress. Meanwhile, she was out there, cycling through these short-lived flings. I didn't feel bad for her, she'd chosen it. She traded what we had for a shot at something shinier, and it wasn't working out. It was about 6 months after I left when she showed up again. I'd moved into a small apartment of my own by then, nothing fancy, just a one-bedroom I could afford with the supervisor gig. I was coming home from work one evening when I saw her standing outside my building. She looked the same, maybe a little tired. I didn't say anything at first, I just stopped and waited. She started talking, saying she'd miss me, that she'd been thinking about us. I didn't buy it, but I let her keep going. She said all those guys she'd been with didn't work out, that they weren't what she thought. She told me she'd realized money didn't matter, that it was about true love all along. She claimed she'd been testing me by leaving, seeing if I'd fight for her or something. I stood there, listening to her ramble about how she'd figured it all out now, how she wanted us back. She said she was done chasing other people, that I was the one she really cared about. I didn't interrupt her. She went on for a while, throwing out words like soulmate and forever. It was a lot, but I could see through it. She wasn't there because she loved me, she was there because everyone else had dumped her. She'd run out of options, and I was the fallback. I didn't feel angry, just tired. Her whole speech sounded rehearsed, like she'd practiced it to sound convincing. But I knew her too well by then. She finished talking and looked at me, waiting for something. I didn't say much at first. I just stood there, hands in my pockets, thinking about everything. She'd left me because I didn't have enough money, chased after guys who did, and now she was back because they didn't want her. I wasn't buying her true love story, it was too convenient. After a minute, I started laughing. Not loud, just a quiet laugh, because it was ridiculous. She'd spent months jumping from one rich guy to the next, and now she thought she could waltz back and like nothing happened. I told her she didn't get to test me. I said I wasn't some backup plan for when her real plans fell through. Her face changed, she looked surprised then mad. I didn't care. I told her I'd been fine without her, that I was building my own life now. She tried to interrupt, saying I didn't understand, but I cut her off. I said I understood plenty. She'd shown me exactly who she was when she gave me that ultimatum. I told her I wasn't interested in round 2. Then I wished her good luck and walked past her into my building. She didn't follow me. I heard her call my name once, but I kept going. I locked my door and sat down, feeling lighter than I had in a while. She wasn't my problem, Annemarie. It's been a few months since she showed up at my place. I haven't heard from her again, and I don't expect to. Last I heard, she was still bouncing around, trying to find someone to latch onto. I don't check up on her anymore, don't need to. I'm still at the warehouse, still a supervisor, and I've been saving up enough to maybe take some night classes, get a better gig down the line. Life's not perfect, but it's mine, and I'm good with that. Looking back, I see how it all played out. We started as kids who didn't care about anything but each other. She changed, got caught up in wanting more, and I didn't. She left me over it, chased what she thought she needed, and it didn't work out. When she came back, it wasn't about me, it was about her running out of moves. I'm not bitter anymore. I dodged a bullet. If she'd stayed, I'd have spent my life trying to keep up with her demands, and that's not living. I laughed her off that night because I finally saw it clear. She didn't love me, she loved what I might have given her. I'm better off without that. She can keep searching for whatever she's after. I'm done being part of it.